Were complaints ignored?
Yes,
Were things covered up?
most definitely.
Sexual harassment?
Very much covered up and ignored.
These are just a few of the complaints employees at the Kentucky State Reformatory have had for years.
If you try to say something, if you try to report something, it would not either be reported, it would either be swept under the rug, it would be called a liar.
John Grievous and Mike Williams were the supervisors in charge of handling sexual harassment or assault claims. Grievous was the Equal Employment Opportunity Coordinator, Williams the Internal Affairs Investigator. Both were fired in March over sexual harassment allegations from fellow officers dating back years. In one instance, Grievous was accused of raping a nurse. State investigators say Williams knew and didn't say anything.
You would hear a lot of stories about the nurses. They made it very well known, no sexual harassment is to come out.
The investigation into those two men sparked the state to take a much closer look at the reformatory. Another officer, Mike Wilson, is now suspended and under investigation, but the state won't say why.
Pretty much, the first thing you're warned when you very first started is stay away from Mike Wilson. If you're not in a clique and you weren't in that little group of like Wilson and Grievous and them, you were not accepted. They were pretty much able to get away with, including physical violence towards others, yes. They were allowed to do a lot of things as long as it was never caught on camera or there were no witnesses.
The former warden of the prison, Aaron Smith, was fired earlier this month, and the deputy warden, James Coyne, is suddenly retiring this week. Corrections Commissioner Jim Irwin was also terminated for refusing to fire Grievous and Williams.
There were many people that I know that would actually quit before ever trying to file something.
Last week, former prison nurse Jenny Fentress filed a lawsuit claiming she was fired just for providing a statement about sexual harassment she witnessed by one of the officers.
If people did things that were wrong, those in power did what they could to cover it up so that those things could keep happening.
Nick Nacer represents Fentress.
And the way that we look at this is just a cover-up culture at the KSR. The people who were supposed to put a stop to this sex discrimination just didn't.
After WDRB launched its investigation into the prison 3 months ago, the state now acknowledges that a, quote, toxic culture existed at the reformatory. In a statement, a Justice Cabinet spokesperson said, quote, there are currently open investigations regarding these allegations, and the Cabinet is also in the process of reviewing prior investigations that occurred under the department's watch.
The culture at that, back before everything started happening within the last couple of months, it was quite volatile. There were staff members that were having emotional mental breakdowns.
Now that so many supervisors have been fired or forced out, this officer says things are starting to get better.
People are wanting to come to work again. We are now feeling more safe there.
But after years of abuse, cover-up, and harassment, this officer says employees are still afraid to speak out about what's happening inside these walls.
You've got people out there right now, Mr. Ragsdale, that is so scared to even remotely say anything.
She gets emotional, explaining why she's putting herself on the line with so much at risk.
Why did you come forward to say something?
People don't need to be scared. People need to know that people need to be held accountable for their actions. And that it's okay to come forward to not, if you want something to happen, people were not listening. Nobody is above the law. And it don't matter who you are or what position,